first two sections, you might need your spiral notebook because you will need your formulas for interior and exterior angles of polygon. I'm showing the page that's in the form in your spiral that you have to use. So you're gonna need to refer to these formulas to answer the questions. This table will be provided for you, okay? But you have to know how to use the formula and for which type of problem. The other thing too, this was on one side and the birdhouse was on the other. These steps, because you have some algebraic problems using the formula to solve for x. So this side you need to know as well. Okay. All right, so the first one, they just want the formula. What is the formula for the sum of the interior angle of a polygon? That's when you use n minus 2 times 180. Check if you have that formula. All right, so you use that formula for number 3, because the 3 says find the sum of a 35 gon. That means n is your 35. Don't, guys. Now, on number 2, what is the formula to find each interior angle? So here was the sum. This is finding each, finding 1. So you just take the same formula for the sum, which is right here. And you're now, to find each, you're saying n minus 2 times 180 divided by n. If you did that, just check, okay? So the first 4 here, we're talking about sum. They want you to find the 7th angle. So that means there are 7 sides. Your n is 7. And you're going to take the given angles, add them up, subtract it from the sum. If it's a 7-sided figure, the sum should be 900. Now, on here, they've given you the sum. If the sum is 3780, find how many sides. So we're using this sum with the formula, and we're solving for n. You have to work backwards, Levi. And then you're solving for n, so to me, the fastest way to get the n a variable by itself is get rid of this times 180 by dividing 180 on both sides. This will give you 21 equals n minus 2. So now you're just solving for n. You add 2 to both sides. 20 for 6, sorry, it says what is the measure, or what's the number of sides or the measure of each interior angle for 18-agon? And we're doing each interior angle. We know n is our 18. We're using the formula on number 2 to solve for each interior. Now, on 7, you first need to find the sum. Using your n minus 2 times 180. Then you use that sum to write the equation. You're going to write and solve the equation with the sum. Now for 8, since they tell you that the figure is a regular polygon, that means all the sides are congruent and all the angles are congruent. So you're going to have to use the measure of each angle use the n minus 2 times 180 divided by n to find each angle. the sides are 5, so n is 5. This will mean that each angle, when you do that, you get each angle is 108. So now you're going to write and solve the equation. Which is the 7x plus 31 equals 108. Then you're just solving for x. Now topic 2 is talking about the exterior angles of a polygon. The sum of the exterior angle is just always 360. Just know that fact. To find the measure of each exterior angle, because this one says each exterior angle of a regular nonagon, that means n is 9. To find each exterior angle, you just do 360 divided by the number of sides. Here, if the exterior angle is 24, how many sides? Well, if I just do 360 divided by the exterior angle, that will equal Rn, the number of sides. And then on 12, they tell you the interior angle is 120. How many sides? Well, your exterior angle is 180 minus the interior angle. If you calculate the exterior angle, then you're back to doing 360 divided by that exterior angle equals the number of sides. So on 13, all the angles are from extending the side. These are all exterior angles. So you have to remember it's always exterior angles are the sum of exterior angles always equals 360. So your writing equation for x equal to 360. So I'll just combine my x's. That's 11, 5, and 6, 9. That's 30 x's. Let's do it this way. That's negative 20. So that's 150 equals 360. Now you're solving for x. All right, now you are gonna need to use, I don't have it showing on the way up here, but you're gonna need to use your flip book. Basically from this section on, you'll get to use the flip book. If you have your flip book, you'll get to use it on the tests. Like I said, in the green paper, if you have your own summary sheet. Otherwise, you're just using the formula chart with the polygon formulas that I'm providing. So you'll get to have your use your flip book. The first section is parallelograms. We're using those 5 properties of a parallelogram to solve. We actually did a problem like this in the flip book where you're just filling in all given information to find the remaining. So start off, they tell you EB, which is this side, is 16. So you should know automatically opposite sides are congruent. So that was 16 as well. They tell you ED is 25. So you should know BC is 25. You need to fill in everything you know that's given first to then fill in your blanks. So here they tell us, that BF, which is a diagonal, is 11. So diagonals get bisect, so both parts here are 11. They also give you EC, which is the whole diagonal. Again, they get bisected. So if the whole thing is 34, that means each piece is 17. Then they give us angle BED. This is the whole angle here. It's 55. That means angle C is also 55 because opposite angles are congruent. And then they give us CBD from C to B to D. That is this little angle in here. No, sorry, CDB. So I went the wrong way. It's over here. That little angle is 67. Well, gonna be 67 on that side as well. And they give you BCE, that is inside this, is 24. So in order to find this missing angle here, you have to take that 55 minus 24. Then you have triangles to help you find the remaining angles. Emery, this is yours. All right, then on 15, you should be using the property opposite angles are congruent, meaning angle K is congruent to angle M. You need to plug it, it's two things you have to do. You have to solve for X and then plug it back in. Now, so yes, you start off with your 5x plus 17 equals 12x minus 39. You need to find X. Then you have to plug it back in because the question is asking you to find N. And you have to remember angle N and angle K are supplementary. So angle N is going to be 180 minus whatever the measure of angle K is. That's what I'm saying. You have to plug it back in. So 15 is doing opposite angles. 16 is using consecutive angles. Equal 180. So your angle U plus your angle T is going to equal 180. This is the same thing. You have to solve for X and then plug it back in. There's multiple steps here. Now, when you get to 17, it's still parallelogram, but they're saying ED, that is this piece. It's of the short diagonal. It gets bisected. And then they give you BD, which is the whole diagonal. So you have to remember that it takes two parts of that ED to equal the BD. You're going to have to find the X and then plug it back in. Don't forget they're asking you to find the whole diagonal. Yes. No, the bottom is the segment drawn. You still haven't drawn a right triangle in the hexagon, but it's the segment from the center to the side. It's perpendicular. Okay, now we get into in the coordinate plane. We have to use slopes to find your missing points. So we start off with 3, 0. Then we have negative 1, 5. And we have negative 5, 2. You want to connect in order. It is a rectangle, so we're going from here to here to here. If it's a rectangle, then we have to have right angles. So there's more than one way to find the fourth point, but we have to see it's over here. So I can use opposite sides, like this side is opposite over here. So I can either count the slope down and to the left. So down 3, to the left 4, and then repeat that. Or I can do opposite reciprocals to make the right angle. But you need to be able to figure that out using your slopes. Now here we're talking about the diagonals of a quadrilateral. Because we're talking about diagonals of a quadrilateral, you got to remember diagonals get bisected. I'm giving the intersection point D, which is at a negative 2, 3. Then for the quadrilateral EFG, E was negative 8, 4. That's my E. F is 0, 6. So I'm just going to use my slopes to find the other point, meaning since it's bisected, it will have the same slope. So if I'm going from F to D, that means I would have to count down 1, 2, 3, and then to the right 1, 2. I'll repeat that. 1, 2, 3, to the right 2. And there's my new point that I need. Because the distance from F to D gets bisected. That's why I'm using the exact same slope. So you're going to have to do that as well from E to D. This gets bisected. We're doing E, F, G, H. I know this is my H because I'm just going in the order clockwise. So I can see that point is negative 4, 0. You need to figure out the G using the slope. Count your slope from, count your rise over run from E to D and repeat it. All right, then we get into rectangles. It has all the same properties of parallelogram, but now the diagonals are congruent. Sorry. And they bisect, just like in the parallelogram. So they're all the same measurement. And then in a rectangle, you have 4 right angles. So if I give you AD is 9, you should know opposite sides are congruent. Sorry. AC is your diagonal 22. That means each piece here is 11. From B to C to A is 66. Well, these are isosceles triangles, so a pattern occurs with the rectangle. Therefore, I can find that missing angle just by doing 90 minus 66. to find AB, I'm going to use the right triangle here, which means I'm using A squared plus B squared equals C squared. This would be X squared because this is what's missing, plus 9 squared equals 22 squared. There's an example of that in your flip book as well. All right, PR and QS. Okay, we're looking at the parts versus the whole. So it's gonna take 2 of QS to equal PR. Solve for X, but then find TR. Plug it back in, please. We have DEG, that is this angle here. And we have angle FGE, that is this angle here. Yes. Oh, you're right. I thought QS is here. It's not double. It's just equal. You're right. I didn't read that right. Okay, so DEG, FGE, these are alternate interior angles, which are congruent. So the 4x minus 5 is going to equal the 6x minus 21. But make sure you find DEG. So you have to plug it back. DGE. So when you plug it back in, we're talking about over here, this angle. Since that's a right angle, to find this missing piece, you have to subtract it from 90. So I would find the measure of FGE. And then 90 minus angle FGE is going to equal DGE. All right, so the typo here on 24, JL should equal to 26. That should just be 26. That 23 should not be between the digits. So change that. 24. It's this one right here. Yeah, JL is supposed to be 26. All right, top of 6 is rhombus and square. Just remember the rhombus, all the sides are congruent. Same thing with the square. The rhombus, the diagonals are perpendicular. Okay, so you have to remember in the rhombus, these right triangles are all congruent. So if I know 90 and this is 36, then I can find this missing angle here as just 90 minus 36. So we get 54, which means that's going to be in all of the right triangles. So they want you to find JK in this using the diagonal MN is 20. So 20 and 20. And JL is 26. So that means this would be 13 and 13. So I'm using basically the right triangle here. The NK is the 20. The JN is the 13. I'm trying to find the missing hypotenuse. So you have to use your A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It's a decimal answer, or you can have a radical answer if you simplify it. Here they're showing you these two angles, and in a rhombus, the diagonals bisect the angle. So that lets me know that 9x minus 43 is going to equal to 5x plus 1. Find your x, but then plug it back in. Okay. All right, in a rhombus, all the sides are congruent. So the first thing I'm going to do is use my congruent sides, my AD equals DC. Find the x and plug it in to figure out the side measure. They want you to find AE. Well, in order to find this, I have to use the right triangle. So you're going to need to find x, plug it in, and then use your right triangle. You're going to have to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. C is what we're trying to find. It comes out to be a whole number. Okay. All right, then we have this one right here. It should be, there's an, on 27, the typos with the, there was like a line that went through that y, and that should have meant an x here. So we should have xzy and xwy on the first and, or the second and last. All right, so in 28, since they're giving you y, they want you to use this triangle to problem solve. So I'm just gonna move it over here to the side. This is wy right here, which is the 32. And then this is gonna turn into a 45-45 triangle, which means the legs are the same. So we're going from the hypotenuse to the leg, which means we're doing 32 divided by root 2. And then we're rationalizing that because we can't keep the radical at the bottom. So you have 32 root 2 over 2, and that can be reduced to 16 root 2. Then here, just plotting the points, come up with the most precise name. Yes. When you're determining the most precise names, you need to look at your slopes. You need to use slopes. Use your slope to prove. So a couple of things. If you see same slope, then that's going to prove parallel. If you see opposite reciprocal slopes, which means you flip the number and switch signs, that's going to be perpendicular. Emery, just give me what you got and go to the other paper, please. So use that to problem solve, which we're going to use here to problem solve. Because they give us the coordinates of the point. What must the slope of ED be in order for it to be a parallelogram? So BC is an ED. These are opposite, so they need to be parallel. So we're doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is 4 over 6, which reduces to 2/3. So ED would have to be also 2/3. If it's parallelogram, it has to have the same slope. Now, what does the slope of BE have to be in order to be a rectangle? So for it to be a rectangle, now we need a right angle. So in order to have that right angle, now we need opposite reciprocal slopes. So what's the opposite reciprocal of 2/3? -3/2, and we're done. Okay, on 32, they're showing the arrows I see got off here. They're supposed to be opposite here. This is non-isosceles, so you have to use consecutive angles equal 180. But on 33, the tick marks were missing. This is an isosceles trapezoid. So you're going to have base angles that are congruent. E and F are base angles. H and G are base angles. And then you're also going to use consecutive angles are supplementary, or opposite angles. And isosceles opposite angles are supplementary. So when you get to the last page here, this is non-isosceles. So that means we have consecutive angle G plus angle H is going to equal 180. 134, because they give you the tick marks, now you have an isosceles trapezoid. Just going to abbreviate that. So here, base angles are congruent. Your angle J is congruent to your angle K. Now, make sure you're finding the angle. Find the X, but then plug it back in, find the angle. So here we have tick marks. So again, we have an isosceles trapezoid. And D and F are opposite, and then isosceles trapezoid opposite angles are congruent. No. 36 is also isosceles. And here they're talking about the diagonals. The diagonals are congruent in an isosceles trapezoid. Make sure you find this segment. All right, and then the last two we got to talk about, because EF is the mid segment. The formula says your mid segment equals half of base 1 plus base 2, half the bases, the sum of the bases. Or you can double the mid segment and it equals the sum of the bases. So that should be 1 plus b2. So since they gave us the mid segment is 63, and my base 1 would be here, base 2. If I double this 63, it's going to equal to the 5x plus 7 plus the 8x minus 11. And now we can solve for x and then plug it back in to get AB. No, 90. So this is your mid segment again. The 5x plus 1 equals 1/2 of the 2x plus 7 plus 19. Or I can double it and it equals just 2x plus 7 plus 19. You need to solve for x and then plug it back in to find yz. Because it says right here. Is that segment. All right, this is due tomorrow. Test is tomorrow. I'll have a partial key on Teams. I'm trying to put an extra credit on quizzes. If you turn, this is a separate grade though. So if it's done, you can put it in unless you want to keep it to study. I'll stamp it to give you extra points on the study guide grade, because the study guide is a separate grade. On the grade for your study guide.